Everyone should be in now.
Great, thank you. Okay, calling this public meeting to order in accordance with Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGLC 131, Section 40, and the Boston Wetlands Ordinance, Boston City Code Ordinances, Chapter 7-1.4. The Boston Conservation Commission will hold this virtual public hearing this evening at 6 p.m. on March 25th, 2026, to review the following projects to determine what conditions, if any, the Commission will impose in order to protect the interests of the public and private water supply, groundwater, prevention of pollution, flood control, prevention of storm damage, protection of fisheries and land containing shellfish, and protection of wildlife habitat. This evening's public hearings will be followed by our regular meeting. In accordance with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, we are conducting this meeting online. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Conservation Commission, the public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Additionally, the meeting is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your video. Members of the public may have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. For the record, I am Michael Parker, I chair of the commission. Could staff please identify themselves?
Elena Edamary with the Environment Department.
I
Dee Dee
know Dee Dee's
Hernandez
there.
with the Environment Department.
Great.
Mason Hagan with the Environment Department.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll call the roll of the commissioners. Commissioner Linay,
Amy Linay.
Commissioner Wilson,
Mike Wilson.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi,
Steve Estes Smargiassi.
Commissioner Herbst.
Ann Herbst.
Great. Okay. Thank you. So the first item on the agenda this evening, it has been continued, and that is notice of intent for DEP file number 0062103 and Boston file number 2026-006 from Epsilon Associates Inc. on behalf of the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the proposed site enabling work at the North End Community Center, including cutting and capping utilities, demolition of the Valerisi bathhouse, and improvements to the existing seawall at 471 Commercial Street, North End neighborhood. Resource areas, 25-foot waterfront, coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, 100-foot buffer to coastal beach. Commissioner Linay, I know you have to recuse yourself from this matter. And again, the proponent has asked for continuance. And if you all may remember, this was the project where they were characterized as site preparation, but it included a lot of work, including the raising of the seawall. So what the proponent, and that process is not mired, but it's undergoing MEPA review, and I think it's on its second phase of MEPA review. Probably won't be resolved for months. So what the proponent is going to do, or allegedly going to do, is revise the NOI and come back to propose just to do the demolition of the bathhouse and the capping of utilities, and then come back later with a separate NOI for the seawall and the elevation grading of the site. So with that, I would entertain a motion to continue the hearing until April 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that carries 5-0. Okay. No, that carries 4-0. I'm sorry. Okay. Next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number unassigned from Niche Engineering on behalf of the Department of Conservation and Recreation for the proposed redevelopment of the Artesani parking lot in Herder Park, including construction of a new sidewalk and shared use path at 1255 Soldiers Field Road in Alston, bordering land subject to flooding, 100-foot buffer to BVW, 100-foot buffer to inland bank, and 25-foot waterfront area. This matter needs to be continued because despite the best efforts of the proponent, DCR still not received a DEP file number. So with that, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing until the April 8th, 2026 hearing.
So moved.
I have a second. Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2108 and Boston file number 2026-011 from GEI Consultants on behalf of the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the proposed reinforcement of the bulkhead between Piers 4 and 5, repairs to adjacent concrete and deck replacement at 8th Street in Charlestown. Resource areas, land under ocean, coastal bank, rocky intertidal shores, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 25-foot waterfront, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, and 100-foot buffer to rocky intertidal shores. This matter is continued from the March 11th, 2026 hearing, primarily because DP file number had not been filed. We did have a question or two, one being the compatibility of this work with the climate resiliency measures that are proposed for the Charlestown waterfront. Elena looked into that, and she has some color for that. And I think that was it, Elena, if my memory serves me correctly.
I believe
And
so.
DMF?
Yes, so
Waiting for
now
DMF.
we're
Yep.
checking all the boxes. So it has both a DEP file number and a Boston file number. We have heard from DMF on this project, and they, pardon, I was just opening up the attachment here. So the comments are in the folder for the commission's review, but they did note that any permanent impact or loss of open water bottom habitat may require mitigation. And due to the BMPs that are already included in the project description, they're not recommending a time of year restriction for this project.
Okay. And to be clear, the mitigation that DMF is looking for is a fee paid to a fund of theirs. They're not necessarily asking us to
Correct.
ask for any mitigation. Okay.
Yes. And I also had a chance to chat with colleagues who are working on the U.S. Army Corps coastal resilience study that is happening right now, and they just confirmed that the proposed work here will not have a negative impact on any designs. They anticipate that as repairs are happening along Boston's coastline, they're going to be incorporating that into their design for the project.
Okay. Who's here on behalf of the proponent? Is Dolores here?
I'm here, yes.
Great. Do you have anything to add to that, Dolores?
Well, we are working with both the city team, the coastal resilience team, and they're working with the Army Corps team. It'll be integrated, this project, into the overall scheme. It's a small, every small piece counts. Gotta have a continuous line of defense. And we'll continue to be working with them. We are able to bring the seawall up. Dan, you could probably speak to this a little more. As we just noted in our narrative a bit, there is surplus. We have the ability to bring
Has the
additional
capacity to
Yeah.
support future
Thank you,
seawall
Dee.
installation.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Dolores.
Yep.
Dan
Dan,
Robbins,
did you want to talk?
GEI
Yeah.
Dan
Go ahead.
Robbins, GEI Consultants,
Yep.
were the engineer for the project, assisting the city. As Dolores and Gigi had both just indicated, this project will raise that seawall slightly. We're raising it about between 12 and 14 inches from what it currently is located at. There will also be adaptability in the future to incorporate additional elevation and elements of the sea level rise and change initiatives throughout the neighborhood.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for looking into that. Dolores, anything else you want to add before I go to the commissioners?
No, unless any of the commissioners have a question, I think we're all set.
Okay, let's find out. But before I do that, let me remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Okay, Commissioner Linay, any additional questions here?
No, I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yeah, none here either. Thank you.
Commissioner Estes Margiassi.
Got them all answered last time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Herbst.
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay, Elena. I don't see any hands raised.
No hands raised and nothing in our inbox or the chat either.
Okay, great. So with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you, Dolores and team. Good luck.
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2105 and Boston file number 2026-008 from Weston and Sampson Engineers on behalf of the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the proposed 2 additional borings for subsurface investigations for the East Boston Resilient Waterfront at East Pier Drive, Lewis Mall in East Boston, resource areas, land under ocean, land subject to coastal storm flowage. This has been continued from the March 11th, 2026 hearing. I believe that was because there was not a DEP file number. So who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi there. I'm here, Delaney Morris Landry, the Senior Climate and Coastal Resilience Project Manager with the Planning Department, and I'm joined by my colleagues at Weston and Sampson tonight.
Fantastic. Floor is all yours.
Great. Good evening, Commissioners. If you can move to the next slide, please. We are coming to you tonight to ask for the NOI for our additional borings at the Lewis Mall site here. We previously have come to the Commission for borings, and these are 2 additional ones in the yellow box you can see on this image here. Next slide, please. This project at Lewis Mall and Carlton Wharf are both for near-term flood pathways into the East Boston neighborhood. There is an additional entry point along the Border Street area, and the convergence of these pathways poses the immediate risk to critical infrastructure such as the Sumner Tunnel and the MBTA Blue Line. Next slide, please. This area sees a 10-foot tidal up and down every day, twice a day. This is very unique to this area of the world. When this land was filled and created, it was done so when the land was higher than these tides. This was before we understood storm surge and sea level rise. Recently, storm surge and high tides have caused flooding in this area. If you happen to live in this neighborhood, you've likely seen this flooding during the big storms on Lewis Street. This is an immediate issue, but we want the solution to also have benefit in the future. Next slide, please. To further set the context, we have a variety of considerations shaping the work, including adjacent private property owners, including the Mark, Clipper Ship, and East Pier, all set on a landscape of previous waterfront industrial land. This land was also created from fill in the 18 and 1900s. Running below Lewis Street is the Blue Line Tunnel, which means we need to think about how much weight can be added. There is also a water taxi service to downtown, and finally, most of the storm drains from the neighborhood connect to pipes and outfalls that run underground through the project area and outlet into the harbor here. Next slide, please. So really quickly, next slide, we can go through a couple of existing conditions. As mentioned earlier, here is a photo of coastal flooding from 2022. This photo is real, and in the photo on the right, you can look heading east along East Pier Drive, where the elevation rises up and then dips back down again before meeting Piers Park Phase 2. Next slide, please. Looking at the aerial at low tide, you can see the overpass area we are looking to target for the additional borings in the top right corner. The overpass consists of a pile-supported concrete deck integrated with an internal pile-supported concrete bulkhead wall. This bulkhead wall was backfilled to create roadway access, effectively closing off tidal flow to the interior area. Stone revetment, riprap, was placed along the base of the bulkhead to provide scour protection. Next slide, please. This area and Carlton Wharf have very large tidal swings, as mentioned earlier, with very high and low tides. Currently, when a storm occurs at high tide, water is seen overtopping the edges of the harbor walk. Next slide, please. The proposed additional borings at Lewis Mall along East Pier Drive overpass are required to advance the project design. We need to get a better understanding of the structural concerns about the soil beneath the water if building on the overpass, and as well as the state of the fill. And now I will pass it to my colleagues at Weston and Sampson to speak on behalf of the borings. You can advance 2 slides, please.
Thanks so
Great.
much,
Thank you.
Delaney. Hi, everyone. I'm Haley Page here with Weston and Sampson. I'm the environmental scientist who worked to pull this permit together. So just kind of starting off with a topographic map, which Delaney already went through a good amount of information on where this project is proposed. So you'll see on this locus map, there's a yellow outline specifically around that area of the bulkhead. We can move ahead to the next slide, please. So from here, as mentioned, this project is located within land subject to coastal storm flowage, which is associated with the flood zone. So within the site, there's a zone VE located at elevation 13, NAVD 88. And there also is a zone AE, which is located at elevation 12, NAVD 88. Please move ahead to the next slide. So here's an image that's highlighting that overpass a little bit more, which Delaney was referring to. So this is the area where we're looking to propose 2 additional borings. Please move ahead to the next slide. So these 2 subsurface borings will be performed through the overpass deck along East Pier Drive. These borings will be located both within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within land under ocean. Appropriate sedimentation and erosion controls will be placed around each boring during the extent of the work and removed upon the completion. Following the advancement of each boring, the boreholes will be restored to pre-existing conditions to the best extent practicable, depending on whether they're located within concrete areas or within the planters. It is proposed that the borings take place within the planters, but if there are reasons where they're unable, you'll see that on the plans that we show a little bit later, we also propose alternative locations if it is needed to be looked at due to different dig safe identifications, or if there's any restrictions for the boreholes to be able to get through. The boreholes will be backfilled with the soil cuttings as much as possible, and any excess soil that cannot be placed back down in the borehole will be drummed and stored separately in designated areas provided by the City of Boston, and they will be disposed of with all local, state, and federal regulations. Okay, let's move ahead to the next slide, please. So speaking specifically to impacts, so our impacts calculated are for both the proposed boring location and alternative, just to be conservative here. So we are proposing 0.8 square feet of temporary impact to land under ocean. This is associated just with the boreholes to get down into the sediments. And then within land subject to coastal storm flowage, we're proposing 36 square feet of temporary impact. This impact area is a little bit larger due to the proposed erosion and sediment controls. All impacts will be temporary in nature, as I mentioned previously, and restored to the best extent practicable to pre-construction conditions. There will be no impacts to the 25-foot waterfront area, coastal beach, or coastal bank. Move ahead to the next slide, please. So just quickly throwing up this plan that I was referring to, you see that there are borings B9 and B10 along with B9A and B10A. So the borings located with the A at the end labeled there, those are the alternative locations. If the locations proposed, the landscaped areas are not accessible. Please go ahead to the next slide. And that's all we have at this point. So I'll pass it back over to the commission for any questions they may have.
Great. Thank you, Haley. Okay, I just have a couple quick ones here. First of all, Want to thank you. When you talked of impacts, the 36 square feet, you included the soil erosion controls.
Yep.
Usually we don't see that, so I appreciate the transparency there.
Of course.
As far as excess soil that is not appropriate to be backfilled, I think are you expecting, I guess the question is, are you expecting any contaminated soils in that area, or is it just a precaution?
It's, I believe, just a precaution with the state, local, and federal requirements. You know, we want to make sure that if there are extra materials, that we're handling them properly and testing them as applicable.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then I have a question for Delaney regarding the wild or the extreme tidal flows here. Why is that, and how does that compare to other parts of the waterfront?
It is the same really across the waterfront. Boston sees that same 10-foot tidal swing.
Okay. Okay. That makes more sense. I was wondering if that was, yeah, what was idiosyncratic over there. Okay. And before I forget, just want to make sure that I thank you for all the hard work that you do in your job, and appreciate you being so resilient and dogged in the face of, funding issues at the federal level. And you just keep on putting one step in front of the other, and helping to protect the city. So thank you. Elena, what do you have on this?
Thank you. Yes. So we did not have any questions on the work. We did not conduct a site visit. We've been lucky enough to be in this area a number of times and felt pretty confident that we understood the work and where it was happening. There is an email from DMF in the file folder just confirming that they did not have any concerns about this work.
Great, thank you. Before we go to commissioners, just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay.
I'm sorry if you mentioned this, but what is the size of the boring, the diameter?
I believe there's 6-inch boreholes that are
6 inch.
proposed.
Okay. And then, yeah, I was curious a little bit similar to Chair Parker about the potential soil waste, and if that isn't able to be returned, is it, are there consequences to, if that is tested, contamination is found, is that sort of trigger bigger issues for this site, or is it something that would be, welcome information to understand?
I'm not so confident to give exact, with MCP requirements or whatnot on this. As far as my team has let me know is, if anything is found, it's just a matter of removing it from the site appropriately, what's stored in those drums. I think that's just kind of, we'd have to continue to deal with it if it was determined that there was contaminated materials, kind of go through the next steps from there. But I don't feel confident enough to give you a 100% answer, as that's not my area of expertise.
Gotcha. I'll just hope for the best.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
And Commissioner Linay, if I could just add on to that, I think that what Haley said about hoping for the best is appropriate here. But if contamination is found, it depends on the severity, the scope, the extent of it. But generally, it can be managed in the soil like that. But, I wouldn't expect there'd be something major there that would change plans. It would just most likely affect how contractors work in the soils as far as, their protective gear, health and safety protocols.
Gotcha. Thanks for that.
That helps. Sure. Commissioner Wilson. I'll go to Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi, and we'll get back to Commissioner Wilson.
I'm looking forward to seeing the next phase on this. I don't have any questions on the borings.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
No questions for me, thanks.
Okay. Did Commissioner Wilson drop off?
Let's see. It looks like it.
Okay, we're hanging by a thread for quorum here.
I haven't.
But we can go ahead with this one.
We have an
Haley?
email from him. Internet dropped, no questions.
Okay. Okay, great. Haley, you raise your hand.
Sorry, I just pressed the button on accident as I was trying to mute myself.
Got it. Done that before. Elena, anybody from the public raise their hand?
I see no raised hands and no chats, nothing in the inbox either.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the order conditions and close the hearing.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson, if he's back on. Nope. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so that carries 4-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yep, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2104 in Boston, file number 2026-007 from Fodera Engineering on behalf of 344 Bremen Street LLC for the proposed demolition of an existing building and construction of a 4-story residential development, utilities and stormwater system at 344 Bremen Street in East Boston. Resource area is land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
I'm here. My name is Giovanni Federa. I believe there was a PowerPoint that was sent to Elena.
Yep.
You just pull that up. So I'm just gonna kind of go through some of the notes that I have. But my name is Giovanni Federa. I'm with Federa Engineering, representing the applicant for 344 Bremen Street in East Boston. The project consists of a redevelopment of an existing site with the construction of a new 4-story residential building containing 6 units with ground level parking. The work includes demolition of an existing structure, single level structure. And
I'm sorry, Giovanni, do we need slides advanced here?
Yeah, we can go through the slides. We can.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought never mind. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I know I'm kind of off the slides, but we can move to the next slide. We can kind of scroll through some of these slides. Just pull up some of the plans that we have. I believe they're on here, but so that's the single story that we have right there. That's going to be getting demolished. There is going to be a new building with new utility connections and an installation of a stormwater management system. We can just scroll through to the next slide. So we're here because the project location is located within land subject to coastal storm flowage. There are no other protected resource areas on site. As you can see right here from the FEMA map. We can scroll to the next slide. So the project has been designed to comply with floodplain regulations and to improve resiliency at the site. The proposed building elevates habitable space well above the applicable flood elevations, and the design ensures that flood storage is not displaced and that flood flows are not obstructed. In addition, utilities and critical systems are designed with flood resilience in mind. This is existing conditions, but we do show in red the proposed building footprint. As you can tell, it's going to take about the same footprint. There is a walled-in area in the rear, which you can kind of tell from there. That is kind of a storage area. So as you can tell, the proposed building is going to take up relatively the same footprint. We can scroll to the next page. From a stormwater perspective, the project represents an improvement over existing conditions. Currently, the runoff from the site is unmanaged, but under proposed conditions, runoff will be captured and treated through stormwater management system designed in accordance with the Massachusetts stormwater standards and local regulations. The system is designed to improve water quality and promote groundwater recharge. We have obtained project approval from the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. This is a proposed condition site plan showing the building footprint, a few landscape plantings in the front, and there's the garage entry on the right side using the existing curb cut. There will be a passageway on the left side of the building with a granted easement from the abutter to the left. But all around the remaining site, the rear and the right side, there will just be a small grass strip around whatever's remaining on the site. We are also proposing that the roof is going to be a white covered roof for any heat index to keep that at a minimum. But the work is limited to previously developed site and represents a redevelopment rather than an expansion into undisturbed areas. There is a tree that's going to be removed that's in the abutting rear 331 Chelsea Street. That was evaluated by our arborist, Dan Cathcart, who I believe is on this meeting. And we can just scroll through the next slides. That's the stormwater system I was previously mentioning. That's the Boston Water Sewer Plan. You can keep scrolling. So that looks like there's the arborist's plan. So I'm just going to close this out and pass it over to Dan. But overall, the project has been designed to meet the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Boston Wetlands Ordinance while improving existing site conditions. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Dan Cathcart, our arborist.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Dan Cathcart. I'm a consulting arborist with Land Healthcare Consultants. And I was asked to go take a look at the site and prepare a tree survey, which was a stretch because there was very little vegetation on the site, as you can well see. I identified along the walkway on the left some volunteer white mulberries that popped up. There was a couple saplings. I noted one that was about 4 inches, I think, in diameter, growing up on the side. At the back, in that area that's enclosed by the wall with all the little dots in a circle there, or in an oval, that was a patch of Japanese knotweed that's growing in that very limited space. And then I also identified the mulberry it's the neighbor's property, but I'm not 100% sure it's strictly the neighbor's property because it actually grows up at the base of the wall, like out from underneath it a bit. So just to cover all bases, we spoke with the owner of that property just so there wouldn't be any issues, and everyone agreed that to remove that tree. Part of the, whenever we're dealing with invasives, is what sort of plan we have to control it. And in this case, it's sort of the plan itself controls it, right? So that we can cut and remove it responsibly with to dispose of it properly. But the whole area that's currently has the knotweed in it is going to be excavated for the new foundation, and the area where it's growing now is actually going to be part of the building. So there's going to be very limited room for any of that to come back. But as part of the plan, annual inspection, if anything does pop up anywhere along the sides or anything, to spot control that as needed. And beyond that, I think that's pretty much it. There is going to be some planting in the front, some light landscaping, as well as a proposed city sidewalk tree and a tree pit, which, based on the condition of the plant material there, I feel that, my opinion anyway, that the mitigation is sufficient based on the site and what they can do. They're looking to do it. So there's the images of the mulberry on the left side of the building, and the one at the back. The picture on the right is the one at the back that you can see is growing kind of up out of that wall, and that whole area is going to be it needs to be excavated. So they're going to take that up. I don't see I had another picture with the knotweed in that little inside that walled area. It is currently elevated from looking at this picture on the right. That tree is the base of that tree is lower than the grade on the other side of the wall, right? So it's going to be excavated down. That's going to remove all that topsoil in the rhizome area of those knotweeds. So hopefully we can get a pretty successful eradication of this small patch anyway. So, I mean, that's kind of what I saw. There, like I said, wasn't a lot to see, but that's what I saw, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if not, then thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that's it. Giovanni, you're done as well?
I am done. We're open to
Okay.
answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few. First is this, I think, was auto body, some sort of auto repair shop. What's the 21E status here? Is this a 21E site? Has it been tested? What do you know about it? And the reason I ask this question is, wanting to make sure that the proponent knows enough about the site that they don't start excavating, find out that this is a more heavily contaminated than anticipated, and then just have to walk away because of the contamination itself, maybe the cost of remediation, and then we have an unfinished project that has soils exposed or won't be controlled until more remediation is done. So, what do you know about the site from a 21E perspective?
I am unaware of any testing for a 21E, but I believe the applicant is on. His
Great.
name is Brian Rivas, if he's available, if he has any information about a 21E that was conducted on the site. I know the only soils, to my knowledge, I know there was a geotechnical report completed, but not an environmental report. So, Brian, if you're on, do you have any information about that?
Hey guys, yeah, my name is Brian Rivas. I'm the applicant for the project. There were two studies done in 2011 and 2019 regarding this project. So the site itself is a kind of mechanic, kind of auto body repair shop. So they weren't kind of changing oil or doing kind of letting materials seep into the soil. So from the 21E that we have, it looks pretty clean. Also in the past, this building burnt down a couple times actually in the 20s and the 80s. So the new foundation here was built, in like the early 80s. But I have the reports here. It don't really see any kind of alarming kind of things to mitigate. Obviously, if something comes up in the soil, we can take the proper channels. But nothing that kind of came up that's alarming for the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you purchase the property, though, I think you're relying on a 2019 report, right? Is that what you're saying? Did you have your own phase one done, phase two done?
No. Yeah, so we have two reports that were provided to
Yeah.
us by the seller. Yeah. We
Okay.
did some geotech boring. So we did a geotech report on there, did some boring, and kind of had the composition of the soil there, and nothing at least came up in that report either. But yes, to answer your question, that we're kind of going off of that information.
Okay, so you just had geotech done. So here's what I'm going to be asking for a special condition, is that as you advance construction, if you encounter any hazardous materials, that you notify staff so we know what's there. The fact that there was a fire there in the 80s gives me pause because of fires. Fighting materials generally contained, well, probably still do contain PFAS. So it's sites like that, and I'm actually working on one right now. Actually, a very similar time frame, 90s, and they have PFAS problems because of and as a matter of fact, it was an auto body, no, it's auto repair shop that burned down as well. So we definitely want to know what's there if you find anything.
Yes, sir.
The other thing, so a couple other questions, if you don't mind. I see that you're not doing flood venting, so you're building in the exact footprint of the existing building, or how much are you expanding the footprint?
So I can speak on that. So there's currently that CMU wall in the back, right? That CMU wall goes higher than the flood elevation, so it kind of acts as a building itself, right? So you have the entire building taking up. There's currently no flood vents in the existing building right now, as well as that walled-in area. So the if you take into consideration that walled-in area with the existing building footprint, the building footprint is reduced, right? So the flood volumes, the compensatory flood volumes, were actually equaling or greater, giving a little bit more flood volume for the entire site. So there's no adverse effects to the flood volumes available on site. So that hopefully answers that question.
Okay, it does. And it's probably worth it just to take a minute or two to talk about this process. So the reason I asked that question, I know Commissioner Wilson is expressed this concern before, is to make sure that buildings comply with the National Flood Insurance Program that covers the city, right? So NFIP does audits, and if we have, a certain amount of buildings out of compliance with NFIP regulations or requirements, then it's possible we lose our flood insurance. That being said, doing a little investigation, got a lot of information from Elena on this. The ISD now has or maybe it's not ISD, but there exists a floodplain manager in the city who actually checks all this information, and I think it comes up during the building permit process. Just for other commissioners to know, we have someone behind the scenes that none of us knows, the floodplain manager, that is checking on buildings to make sure that we remain in compliance with NFIP. So I'll move on to my next question here. If you could just let us know the elevation of the first habitable floor, and then what's the elevation of the utilities?
So the elevation of the first habitable floor, off the top of my head, I believe it's elevation 26 point, I want to say it's about 26 and a half,
Okay.
about plus or minus. So that's on the BCC. I'm sorry, the BCB, Boston City-Based Datum, right?
Yeah.
So it's about over 10 feet above the flood elevation. Flood elevation is 16.46 as we show here, right here on this slide. The utilities are they're going to be elevated at least 5.5 feet above the garage elevation. Garage elevation is going to be at elevation 16, so it's going to be at elevation 21 and a half, where the utilities are going to be elevated above the garage floor. So that's
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Great. Okay, so ground floor is the garage, so no chance that could be converted to living space. So that's good. Okay. I'll let Commissioners Linay and Wilson talk about the landscaping. As far as I know that you got approval from BWSC, so what's your infiltration value here? Are you infiltrating 1 inch?
Correct, in 1 inch,
Okay.
multiplied by the impervious area on site.
Okay, and I see in the notes here that you're going to be putting in light colored materials on the roof.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it for me. Thank you for entertaining my questions. Eleanor, what do you have on this?
Thank you. Yes, I think that the only outstanding question that we had was related to the floodplain administrator and whether this project has been reviewed by him. And then other than that, the recommendations that we had noted are recommending a special condition that the waste on site is disposed of properly prior to construction, that an invasive management plan is provided prior to construction for the knotweed, and including a special condition that the roof be light colored materials, which I think all of that should have been covered in the presentation and the discussion since then.
Okay. Great, thank you. Before I go to commissioners, just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out, I think that the Japanese knotweed, that'll be in the new building footprint, right? So that disposal, I think, is considered hazardous waste, and needs to be dealt with properly. I appreciate the street tree addition. I know that comment came out of the Parks Commission, and I saw the details included. I think that I just wanted to make sure that in that detail, and maybe it's on the next slide, I think. Or I mean the plan view with showing the street trees on the next slide. I think the detail calls for sand-based structural soil, so just making sure that at some point is described in the plan view. Presumably it's from the width of the thank you. The width of the tree pit connecting to, I think, where those shrubs are. And I wondered, the watering of that tree, if this building is intended to be condos or apartment, rentals, and so if that's, part of the property management. Sorry, I'm just giving you all my questions at once. And then last, what the shrub species are, if that's been selected.
Yeah, so I can confirm that these will be 6 residential condos. So if it's something where we can put it as a responsibility with the HOA, I'm sure that's not a problem to water that and keep that alive.
Okay. Yeah, and it's really, I think as it outlines in that detail, it's like the first, couple of years that are critical for those bags to be filled.
For shrubs, Dan, you recommend some, maybe we can consider, we kind of talked about a couple, but Dan, do you care to add anything, any specific species that could work here?
Definitely recommend not arborvitaes. Something else I would be thinking more in the line of, we want to, I hadn't really thought about it all that much yet, but I'd have to look at the plans for the elevation to see how big we want them to get and all that. But anything from, Japanese holly, maybe, or something that's going to be evergreen, but easily managed based on the size constraints there. Open to recommendations from the commission as well if there's a particular something that you'd like to see. We're not married to anything at this point yet.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it's just a tight space, so it's sort of thinking about something that won't get too big and then just, ripped out down the road.
Right.
Yeah. And then so will you have a detail showing, or I guess a plan view kind of calling out that sand-based structural soil? I just wanted to make sure that gets included under that panel of sidewalk.
That would be included in the tree planting spec when it goes out to the contractor, but that would definitely be part of it with the maintenance, primarily watering, make sure all those components are called into the planting specification.
Great. Dan, have you installed sand-based structural soil on projects?
Not these hands anymore, but yes, we have.
Supervised, been involved in it.
Okay. Told someone else to. Yeah, I asked someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Too fat, old, and out of shape to be doing any real work anymore.
Oh, come on. Don't be so hard on yourself. Okay, Commissioner Linay, based on what you said, I've got some special conditions here. I think we'll want the tree planting plan and with the detail as to what tree is going to be planted given to staff before construction, and maybe Ellen, I can run it by you.
Okay, yeah, and I think the
Makes
species
sense.
is called out here. Yeah, it's as a ginkgo, but yeah,
Oh, right, there we go.
the shrub
Yep,
shrub species
there you go. Yep.
would be great. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, no, those are all great questions, Commissioner Linay. Yeah, I think the only other thing I might add in terms of the tree species, I don't know, like we had 282 Bremen came up a couple years ago. They had sort of an somewhat ambitious tree planting scheme along there. I don't know how it's fared. I was there last year ago. Looked pretty good, but if there's anything you can lean into on in terms of their selections they did or what their experience has been in terms of sort of owning and operating that, that might be good. The only other thing I had was I saw there was a detail of a retaining wall. And I know there's a couple places over in Eastie, not necessarily in this sort of exact block in that neighborhood, but we have had some sort of like hydrostatic loading or, other sort of water infiltration with high spring groundwater, that sort of stuff, with neighbors and stuff like that. So it was just kind of wanted to drill down on that in terms of what your expectations were around that system and if you maybe talk to your abutters in terms of like their understanding of that and how your system may or may not impact them.
When you say system, are you talking about the stormwater system?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is where it gets a little ambiguous, right? It's like there's a stormwater system, but there's also, I saw the detail for the retaining wall as
So
well. We've definitely seen stuff with retaining walls, and when grades get changed, stuff starts moving around.
So the retaining wall, that detail was located on the plan specifically just for, as you're looking at this plan right here, the top left, you can just see like a small wall. That wall is just expected to be a small landscape wall of 2 feet high, and that's really just to level out the landing area of the egress that's going to be located in the back over there. So it's just that was just added as a construction detail just to for that specific 2 foot wall, but that's going to be the only location of a new wall. But it's going to be, uh, well away from where the stormwater system is located. The stormwater water system is located under the building, away from any structural members, so it won't be impacting any retaining wall or abutters.
Okay. Yeah, no, that all makes sense. I guess just I was trying to find the detail again, but just making sure it has like sufficient under drain or weep holing and that type of thing that it's not, holding back water on an adjacent property, and but it's a very small wall, yes. So, yeah, no, those are my only two questions slash comments. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi.
Earlier, you mentioned grassy strip along the building. It's hard to tell in this drawing here. Is that on both sides of the building, and how wide is it? I just have the impression of a pretty dark, and it looks like your neighbor actually has gravel adjacent to their building. Have you thought about how that's going to be maintained, or is it actually going to grow in that sort of dark slot between the buildings?
Well, it's a foot wide strip, right? So it's pretty narrow, but we're trying to add as much greenery on the site as we can. So whatever areas that we can fit loam and seed, that's what we're trying to achieve here. But
a foot wide, you're not going to be able to mow it. They're going to be weed whacking it, or someone's going to, not you, but someone's going to be weed whacking it. I'm just looking at it on this photo here. It looks like your neighbor's got some sort of pavers and gravel adjacent to their building.
we are open to using a gravel material as well, just a pervious material. That's what we're trying to achieve here. So if that's a preferred,
I'm I'm just asking for realism, in the end,
Yeah.
if you put loam and seed, it'll just be mud eventually.
Okay.
Looking at Commissioner Linne to see if she's nodding her head in this little dark slot.
Yeah, no, I think that's practical
Yeah,
to not do a lawn, try to do a lawn there.
yeah. Pervious is good, and gravel's probably more pervious than trampled soil.
We are absolutely open to having a gravel strip instead of a lawn strip. Absolutely.
Yeah. You've got pretty much the whole site occupied. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you. Good thought. Commissioner Herbst?
I just wanted to clarify because Chair Parker had asked about the size of the building if it was changing, and I know you said it isn't, but I think we consider the change in impervious area. So right now, where the knotweed is and where the tree is and everything, is it that area you're expanding into? Isn't that right?
Yeah, if we can go back to, there's a plan that shows the existing conditions. Yeah, this is a good plan right here. So we show the existing building outline.
Yeah.
And then we show that CMU block wall in the rear, kind of as like that dark hatched. So thinking from a compensatory flood storage volume that's available on site, we're thinking that CMU wall kind of acts as its own separate building attached to the actual building. So I mean, as you can tell from the red outlined proposed building footprint, we're very almost mimicking what's currently there in place. So
Okay. Well, I just wanted to clarify that because I don't think it's an issue in the end, but the building will expand by the size of that currently open space that's contained by a building, right? I mean, it's going to go from pervious to impervious.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Between flood storage and pervious and impervious coverage.
Yeah. Just the size of the building itself is Chair Parker had asked, and I just wanted to be clear that it is growing.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Elena, any raised hands? Emails?
I do not see any raised hands. Nothing in the chat, nothing in the inbox either.
Okay, so I have collected a fair amount of special conditions here. And so I will take a stab at them, and I will readily accept help from fellow commissioners and staff to make sure I didn't miss anything. First one, so I would entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions with the following special conditions and close the hearing. First one, so Brian, this is making sure that the condominium association that is formed are aware of the maintenance obligations and the order of conditions itself going forward. So that would be one of our special conditions. Another condition that I have here is that the landscaping plan be submitted to staff prior to construction for its approval by a subcommittee of the commission, probably Commissioners Linne and Wilson would take a look at that. Light colored roof would be another, materials would be another special condition. Brian, we talked about this. Should you happen upon, and I hope you don't, any hazardous materials that require remediation or getting an LSP involved, that you let staff know what's going on at the site. So if it's a report that you have, that would be submitted to staff. An invasive management plan. Dan, I think we talked about that. Cleaning of the debris. We'd like to see that done sooner rather than later. There's some debris at the site. And I think that might be it. Anybody, what did I miss?
I'll
Wow.
refer to the rest of the commissioners, but I think that covered everything that we had noted.
Okay. It's not possible that I covered everything, but I will, I'll hope. I think we have enough there. So with that, I would entertain a motion, as I said, to close the hearing and issue the conditions with the special conditions that I just read into the record.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Estes-Marchiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that carries 5-0. Okay, Brian, good luck.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2110, Boston file number 2026-013 from VHB on behalf of the MEM Building C4 LLC for the proposed demolition of existing structures and construction of a mixed-use development, including parking, utilities, stormwater improvements, and landscaping at 27 McDonough Way in South Boston. The resource area is land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Evening, Sarah McCarthy from VHB.
Great. Okay, Sarah, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. I'm also joined tonight by Taylor Donovan, who is the environmental scientist, also with VHB. So this Mary Ellen McCormick Building C project is associated with the full redevelopment of the Mary Ellen McCormick housing development located on Divine Way, Dot Ave, and Divine Way. If you don't mind going to the next slide. So the current phase that's under construction right now is noted as Building A, which is just to the west of this project location here on the map. The next phase, Building C, is anticipated to begin construction next year and is consisting of 2 mixed-use buildings, as you noted. So right now, the existing parcel is 6.6 acres. It consists of 5 existing residential buildings, adjacent roadways, and sidewalks. And if you don't mind going to the next slide, the northeast corner, as you noted, is located within the land subject to coastal storm flowage. The construction of the buildings themselves is completely outside the floodplain. The work we are proposing within the LSCSF as part of this project is demolishing the existing buildings. There's a portion of the roadway reconstruction into Divine Way. And then most of the area within floodplain is going to be used as contractor staging, stockpiling areas that I'll show on the plans as well. In total, it's just under 30,000 square feet of impact. And again, in support of the construction of the 2 new buildings. Next slide. So this site plan really is just to show the intent of the buildings as part of this project. On the left is building C1, on the right is building C2. C1 is 172 units, the 7-story building. C2 is 3 stories and 20 units total. But you can see on the bottom right corner of this plan, the floodplain is just kind of encroaching where those accessible curb ramps are proposed. And if you go to the next slide, you can see the full extent of the floodplain within the limit of work area. So on the top right of this plan, you can see the intersection reconstruction with the new street that's proposed as part of this project with Divine Way. And the area clouded in gray here in the center of the plan is again the contractor staging area. So 5 existing buildings are demolished in support of this project. There's an existing parking lot that will likely remain and be used for contractor parking. And then the remainder of the area for material stockpiling, staging areas, etc. Next slide. This is the proposed grading plan. Again, realistically, the center here with our existing parking area will remain. There will be some utility demolition as well, again, just to support the use. But small amount of work within the actual floodplain itself. Next slide. Oh, sorry if these are coming out a little skewed on everyone's end. I'll end on the proposed utility plan. Again, at the top right corner, you can see the new utilities within the new roadway here connecting Logan Way and Divine Way that will be within floodplain. So we have, drainage, water, electric, and telecom utilities being installed in that top right corner. We did complete a site walk last week with conservation staff, and as well as having a review and acceptance of the draft conditions. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions specific to the project.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, just to be clear, what work is being done? So there's not going to be a construction of any buildings yet. This is all demolition, correct?
Yes, correct.
Grading of
If
the site.
you
Okay.
if you don't mind going back to the site plan, just two more with the layout. So within the gray clouded area that's shown here, there will be two future buildings that are proposed, which is the following phase. That'll be a separate NOI filing with the Concom that we'll come back with.
Okay. Okay. I got tripped up on the description here because it said construction of mixed use development, including parking. Yeah. So, anyways,
Yes, that's all
that's my
associated
issue,
with
not
C1 and
yours.
C2, yep, and outside of the floodplain.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Could you just quickly talk about erosion control measures here? You're going to be doing a lot of excavation, dewatering. What's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have erosion control, installed at all the downstream ends. Again, there are a fair amount of utility demolition, so all the existing stormwater within the limit of work for the project and building services will be demolished. We do have an approved cut and cap plan with the Boston Water Sewer Commission, and we're anticipating filing for site plan approval imminently. But any existing stormwater infrastructure to remain will be protected for the full length of construction.
Okay.
Again, very similar to the building A phase, the contractor's been working closely with the city to make sure that all the erosion control is installed correctly.
Okay. So I guess I think you said this. So there'll be filtration for the stormwater drains. So we won't have all sorts of silt and stuff going down the drains, right?
Correct. Silt sacks will be installed within the existing and proposed catch basins where applicable.
Perfect. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Elena, what do you have on this?
Yes. So the only questions that we had, which I had shared in an email before the hearing, are regarding just clarifications of that work. So it's okay for there to be stockpiling of materials within LSCSF, but staff would need to provide approval for that, and we would just need to be clear on a staging and storage of materials plan where that would be happening and what protections would be in place just to make sure that, if a storm comes through or anything like that, that everything is secure. And then we had just noted that if there are permeable pavers within LSCSF proposed during this phase, then we would just need a maintenance plan as a prior to construction item. And I know that the question of tree removal had come up on the site visit. So I just wanted to make sure that we resolve that before basically finalizing any special conditions, and also making sure that if trees might have to be removed within jurisdictional areas, that's been incorporated into I'm so sorry, I'm losing all of my words tonight, the square footage of impacts within LSCSF.
Okay, so that sounds like we'll need special conditions that prior to construction, you'll see any tree removal plans.
Yes,
You'll need.
any tree removal plans, and then if there are permeable pavers proposed within LSCSF, we would need to see the maintenance plan for that.
Yep, as well as you want to see a staging and material plan for
Yes, which
what's going
the
to be.
the staging plan is already included in the draft conditions.
Okay, okay, perfect. So it's the other two that we're going to need to put in the conditions. Okay. Anything else? Nope, you just logged off.
Sorry, no,
Bye.
that was it.
Okay. Okay. Just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Okay. Commissioner Linay.
I actually don't think I have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, none here either. Thank you.
Oh, Commissioner Wilson, by the way, great recall on 282 Bremen last hearing. That was impressive.
I went over there to go wait rather than the cell phone lot for flights to land, and the kids played in the parking lot. It's like 10,000 times better. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, I deeply enjoyed that being over in the neighborhood. So,
Yeah. Well, we deeply appreciate your institutional knowledge. That's valuable. If they can replicate that at our 355, that'd be fantastic, or at least some of it. Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
I don't have anything on this one. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Herbst?
Just a question about the erosion and sediment control. Your narrative talked about placing gravel down, but then your erosion and sediment control talks about seeding and other things. So I'm just wondering, are you doing those things, or what are you doing on the surface that's going to be open
Sure.
for quite some time?
So really the only areas that are going to be open, and that can be worked through, with the staging plan as well, is over to the right within the land subject to coastal storm flowage. There's a small portion of the building that's going to be demolished within floodplain. So when that's, fully demolished, that will likely be replaced with gravel during construction. So that is, really the only area that we'll see that for a longer term. Realistically, I think, until they really have to start removing some of the sidewalks for access and everything, the landscape areas will be maintained to the best of their ability.
Okay, maybe I just haven't. Okay, so gravel is gravel, and you'll be doing silt sacks in the basins and
yes,
and downstream. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Elena, any hands raised?
I see no hands, nothing in the chat, and nothing in the inbox either.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions and close the hearing. And in the order of conditions, place two special conditions that if any tree removal is going to take place, that the tree removal plan be submitted to staff for their review beforehand. Same with permeable pavers. If any permeable pavers are going to be utilized in this phase of the construction that we're approving tonight, that maintenance plan to clean the pavers will be submitted to staff. I guess two things. One, if any permeable pavers are going to be used, and notify staff accompanied by the maintenance plan. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. Have a great night.
Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number 0062112 from Green International Affiliates, Inc. on behalf of the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority, also known as MWRA, for the proposed repairs to the seawall, pedestrian infrastructure, and sinkhole, as well as drainage and landscape improvements at 33 Tafts Avenue, Deer Island. Resource areas land subject to coastal storm flowage and 100-foot buffer to coastal bank. Commissioner Smargiassi, do you need to recuse yourself? He's gone already. Okay. Elena, Commissioner Smargiassi is
It seems so, yes. Camera off, mic off. So
there we go. Okay.
very proactive.
Fantastic. Yes. Sort of like your mic drop a minute ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just completely disappear.
That's what everyone's doing to me tonight. Okay. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi everyone. Hi, commissioners. My name is Oksana Fartushna. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Massachusetts Water Resource Authority. My name is Oksana Fartushna, and I'm from Green International Affiliates, presenting this notice of intent. So if you want to probably scroll to the next slide, maybe even the next one. Yes, so I'm here to present the project on behalf of Massachusetts Water Resource Authority. As I already told you. The project includes repairs to the northeastern portion of the island seawall, replacement of the defective and hazardous pedestrian railing, which runs up along the seawall, as well as drainage improvements and some landscape improvements. And the purpose of this project is to extend the lifetime of the existing seawall. You can scroll to the next slide. Yes, this is just the key plan, basically showing where the project is located. It is the northeastern part of the seawall. Mainly, we also have small portion of it on the western side of the island, which I will get back to you about later. You can keep scrolling. I think I'm pretty much done covering that, but yes, we are here to show you what the impacts will encounter with regards to the proposed improvements to the seawall and the landscape improvements and drainage improvements to extend the lifetime of this, as well as the sinkhole mitigation on the other side of the island, which will be shown during the next slides. So we can keep scrolling. So this is a resource area map showing all of the resource areas subject to jurisdiction of Wetland Protection Act. And in red, you can see where the project is located. We have our main impacts are within land subject to coastal zone flowage and the 100-foot buffer zone. And Massachusetts Water Resources Authority is exempt from local regulations. That's why these are not shown on this plan, or on this area map. You can keep scrolling to the next slide. Yeah, so this is our FEMA map. Basically, that's our main impact here to the resource area. You can keep scrolling. So we included a bunch of photos here because that's easier to understand what this project is about. So we're not really doing any work here where you see the seawall on the seaward side. The project is about the repairs to the face of the seawall, which is basically supporting the entire facility and the island. So if you keep scrolling, yes, so basically here you can see there are a lot of issues going on right now with the seawall. There are concrete, spalled concrete, there are visible rust issues, and you can keep scrolling. Yes, so this is another one, exposed and rust steel reinforcement in some parts, and then you can keep scrolling. Yep. Yes. So I'm not gonna just describe each one of them. You can basically see them. So this whole project is not about replacing the seawall. It's about addressing the current issues that we have. Thank you. Yes. That we have with the seawall, and we will be replacing the hand railings, which you can see on this slide. And yes, you can stop here. Actually, I'm gonna expand on that one a little bit more. Yeah, so the seawall pictures that you've seen so far, we have a lot of issues going on with them, and the project is about addressing these issues by repairing. And this slide is actually about a different issue that's part of this project. It's drainage improvements. So right now there are a lot of drainage issues here caused by the wave action. So you can see here there is even visible water, and that's what's happening here. And the project is basically proposing improvements so that it does not cause any further deterioration to the seawall. Yeah, you can probably scroll through. Yeah, so it basically shows again issues with the drainage happening on site. Next one. Oh, okay. So this is another part of the project that's not on the northeastern side. It's actually on the other side of the island, and we have an existing sinkhole that developed over time next to the backflow preventer building, and it needs to be mitigated. So we have included that as part of this NOI submission because it's a pretty urgent issue. You can go to the next one. Yeah, so as I said, all of our impacts are limited to land subject to coastal storm flowage and 100-foot buffer zone. And I know we don't have that slide here, but with regards to land subject to coastal storm flowage, the improvements to the drainage system that's currently in place there will actually result to the net cut of 170 cubic yards. So what you see here is it's all temporary impacts, and the real impacts will result in net cut. So there will be no net fill, no new impervious, nothing will be changed with regards to drainage that will cause more impacts to that area. And you can scroll to the next slide. Yeah, so I don't really know if people can see it here, but these are the two sections of the seawall that we are repairing, and you can see that these are slightly different. So both of these sections show our drainage channel that we are proposing and how things are going to happen. And I'm happy to answer questions, and we also have engineers on call here to answer them. But basically, everything here is part of the existing seawall, and what we're proposing, it is going to be improving the existing drainage system that's already in place, and we will be basically enhancing it and making sure that this seawall can actually last for the next 50 years. You can scroll to the next slide. Yeah, so this is another part of the island where we have a sinkhole. You just saw the picture of it, and it's on the side. You can see it too. So it's a pretty minor impact also within land subject to coastal storm flowage, but it's not anywhere else. That's the only impact we have here besides buffer zones. You can scroll to the next slide. Yeah, so this is just a slide showing that there will be obviously proper mitigation measures, erosion control measures installed along the excavation areas related to the proposed work. I'm not going to go over it in too many details unless somebody wants to ask questions, but that's just the slide about that. And next one. Yes, so this is the project schedule. Yeah, and we are ready for questions. And here with me, we have MWRA staff available to answer questions, and I also have some engineers available to answer some specific questions that I may not be able to answer. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, Oksana. So a couple quick questions to lead this off here. First of all, the Spall Concrete, the damage that's been done, is that primarily because of the wave action or salt water? Like what's caused that degradation?
Yes, it is primarily because of wave action and just the age of the seawall. We do know that the seawall was built already elevated, even though it was built like many years ago when nobody really knew about climate change, but it was built elevated because somebody who was engineering it was aware of this issue. So, but yes, wave action is the main concern here, and we have a lot of wave action going on here and damaging even the nearby slopes, and that's why it's also part of the improvements.
Okay, thank you for that. So as far as the sinkhole next to the backflow preventer building, is there any correlation between the building and the sinkhole there? Is there something that's going on inside of the building that's causing the sinkhole, or?
As far as I know, the building is very tiny, and there is no correlation between the building function and the sinkhole. It's been developing over time, and I don't really know if you can give access to anyone else to speak from MWRA, but basically what I know is it's a very tiny building that's very important, but they've had this issue for a long time, and we had a site visit last week, and we've visited all of it. And from what I understood, it's not related to the building. It's really just like the area it's located, and it is a temporary issue. I mean, temporary solution that we found, and the permanent solution will be later developed, and we'll have to obviously go in front of the commission again to permit it.
Okay.
Right now, it's like a hazard because it's like a pretty important facility.
Yep, understood. So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is whether the sinkhole is caused by, let's say, natural causes. Is it caused by the presence of the building next to it, or is there something going on in the building, like I don't know, leakage or something that is causing the sinkhole? If there's someone from the MWRA on that.
Yeah, I can chime in on that if you guys can hear me. The building really houses just two valves for our fire protection. So I think if there was leakage, we would know because our pressures would drop. If you go inside the building, the valves are all above grade. The building is dry inside. We believe that it's coming. We believe that the fines are washing out from the tidal wave action, and they're just coming out from underneath. We have in front of the building, between the building and the pier facility, there's a utilities tunnel, and you can see underneath the utilities tunnel is kind of washed out in some areas. So the permanent solution will be to fix that. But for now, where we just want to fill it because the area is maintained by staff, and we don't want, I guess, the sinkhole to continue to grow.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that, John. So my final question before I turn it over, if someone could talk a little bit about the drainage improvements in a little bit more detail.
Yes, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
So it's actually shown pretty well on the slide where I had two sections, but also if everyone prefers, I can explain it using one of the pictures. We have the existing French drain here, and it's not working. So it has the existing weep holes that are clogged, and they've been clogged for a long time. And so there's water being collected there that causes all of the issues and the further damage to the seawall at the moment because it's on top, like you can see here. Yes, that's perfect, actually. So to the right of it, where you see the gravel French drain, that's exactly where it's located. And then if you actually look at the slide where we had, I mean, I know it's a little bit zoomed out, but the slide that had the section views of these two sections of the seawall, because we have two different sections that are slightly different along the island, but mainly it's the same. No, the one before. Yes, this one. Mainly, it doesn't really matter whether it's like the section to the left or to the right. It is pretty much the same thing that the seawall gets all this wave action, and then the water gets accumulated and stays there. And obviously this particular area is being used by the public as the walkway, because people are allowed to go around and use it as a park and like open space and waterway access. So we basically want to make sure that the seawall is supported and is able to be maintained for the next 50 years. That's the intent of this project. And what we are proposing is, you can see to the right that there will be excavated drainage channel within this area that you saw in the pictures that looked like that was like gravel where the French drain is. And from that area, you see that there will be some new whip hole proposed on top of the seawall, kind of like above. That's what you see on those sections as well. And also the existing weep holes will be cleaned as part of this project. So overall, the project aims to basically improve the drainage so that you won't see the standing water there at any point during the storm events, or like when the wave action is pretty high. And that's what it is about. And this will help actually to maintain the structure for many more years instead of replacing it, which you know that will be like a costly and very, difficult project.
Great. Thank you, Oksana. Okay, before I go to Elena, I just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Elena, what do you have on this?
Thank you. Yes, the only note that we wanted to make is just recommending a special condition requiring debris containment during seawall repairs. We had discussed this on the site visit, and it sounded like the contractors would be taking that into account, but we could just include that as a requirement.
Okay, so to be a spec to the contractors, what would it be, like netting or
That's actually a good question. I feel like if it's netting, I feel like it would have to be relatively fine. Maybe just a special condition that before construction commences, we receive details on the type of debris containment that they're proposing.
Okay, that sounds
I can chime in on that too. We can we'll require them to submit a work plan prior to starting work, so we can share that with you. I don't think we can dictate what they do for containment, right? Because that's kind of telling them means and methods. But we can certainly make note to approve whatever work plan that they have and make sure that it's adequate.
Oh, thank you, John. So that's interesting. So you can't dictate means and methods. Is that a contracting requirement?
Yeah, you can't. You specifically, you can't tell contractors how to do their job because they can propose different things as long as they're in compliance with the spec.
Yep.
So that's kind of one of the hiccups that we have to deal with sometimes. But we can always not approve something, right, if it doesn't meet what we need it to meet. So
maybe in that case, would it make more sense to frame it as debris during work on the seawall must be contained, and the means and methods of that containment will be submitted to us so that we have it on file?
Yep. The work plan, I think.
Yep.
Great.
That's what we'll get.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fair. I think we can kind of work together on that as the work plan's being developed.
That sounds great.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Okay, Elena, anything else?
Nothing else. That was it.
Okay. Commissioner Linay?
I don't know that I have a lot of questions, but I did want to say I can imagine this is a tough environment for plants and for materials. So appreciate the plant list, being a lot of salt tolerant species, and the new railing, aluminum. Is that powder coated or?
The railing?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I don't know if I know we have Kyle here.
Hi, this is White from Green. It's just gonna be aluminum. It won't be power coated.
No power coated. Okay. And I appreciate seeing a code compliant railing and replacing what's out there now. So I think that's it for me. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, no, echoing Commissioner Linnaeus' comments, it's a tough environment, but it's dark and it's beautiful and everything like that. I guess one question I did have was sort of just in terms of like, couldn't zoom in as well as I wanted to. For the areas that are adjacent to the path, like inboard of the wall, those are frequently sort of like run upon or bikes sort of, in order to create enough passing area. There's gravel there, it's compacted. There's obviously erosional things that go along with that. And just like in terms of like what you're proposing there, what do you see as sort of its level of robustness or monitoring?
Are you talking about the slopes next to
Yeah,
the
there we go. The gravel French
Yes,
drain. Yeah.
yes. So
Sorry.
it's not everywhere, but it is part of this project. Some slopes, not this one particularly, actually, but the one further where we have steeper slope that is actually being hit by wave action a lot. That one we will have salt resistant vegetation that was actually noted by Anne, I believe, that we are proposing slope stabilization. So mainly it's going to be just regrading and then slope stabilization and vegetation planted with salt resistant plantings that are shown in the plans that we have included as part of this NOI. But yes, it's not around the whole island, around the whole the entire limit of work, but it is within the areas that are being hit pretty heavily by wave action.
Yeah, no, totally understand. And I mean, I guess underneath there, I mean, you can see sort of some of the geotextile exposed there, it looks like. Is there like, an opportunity or something for like, say, like GeoGrid or I don't know, Commissioner Lee, you probably know it's the latest and greatest in this type of stuff, but like just to try to keep things from migrating and eroding quite as fast.
I can answer that question actually. It's not going to be what you see on this picture anymore because what we are proposing is a drainage channel that will be collecting stormwater. And that's the whole point because we don't want the water to be standing on top of the seawall anymore or the walkway. Because if we were to replace this gravel French drain with something similar, this would keep happening. So what's proposed, and that was part of the sections that I was trying to show, and unfortunately I don't have a zoomed in version. I wish I could zoom in to show you, but basically that channel will be like why? Help me explain it. Like it's gonna be
Yes. So what you see there on the left of that gravel area is the top of the seawall. And what we're proposing is we're installing a three-sided concrete trench almost. And the top of the trench will be covered with a aluminum grating, which helps, and that will help bring the any surface water down below, and then at certain distance along the wall, we're proposing a weep hole that gets cored through the seawall, and as the water collected there, it will follow the trench and out into the seawall. That will alleviate any water ponding on top of the seawall, which causes a hazard in the winter, especially specifically due to it becoming iced up in the area and potential hazard for the pedestrian that uses the path. So that's primarily one of the purpose of that concrete trench that we're installing And so that gravel that you see there will as part of it will not be there in the finished condition.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I think maybe the thinking is that it's sometimes we need that extra bit of width in sort of, and I don't know if that's a consequence of the ponding and sort of what's going on there, but like there's sort of an erosional edge to the vegetated landscape as people use it. So this sort of slot drain, trench drain, whatnot, it could fix it very well. I'm just thinking that there might need to be a little bit of a hardened component to it as well, but
Yes, it will be a component that will be totally different from what you see on this image. Basically, it's going to be a solution to the existing problem of this ponding, because you'll have that channel that collects the water before it discharges it. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, appreciate it. It's a beautiful spot out there. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
I was just, for the special condition, I'm wondering if we would want to say that staff needs to approve the plan for containment in addition to receiving it.
Okay. And John, that doesn't run afoul of any procurement or contracting issues, because that would constitute an approval to a plan, so the contractor would have to.
Yeah, it would already be awarded, and they would have to submit it to us anyways, and we would approve it. But we can wait for your comments as well, right, before sending back an approval.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Commissioner Herbst. Good call. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Elena, did we get any raised hands or emails?
No emails, nothing in the chat, no raised hands either.
Okay. So with that, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing and issue the order of conditions, with a special condition that prior to construction, that the work plan that includes the containment measures that will be taken be submitted to staff with staff's approval, comment and approval on the containment measures.
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, there has been a continuance. So continued is notice of intent for DP file number 006-2042 and Boston file number 2025-014. We will now begin our regular meeting, and the first item on the agenda is request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-2014 and Boston file number 2024-034 from Ty and Bond Inc. on behalf of the Eversource. On behalf of Eversource Energy to conduct 2 soil borings, 10 test pits, and 17 test trenches along Alfred Street right-of-way in Charlestown.
Thank you. Yes. So staff conducted a site visit on March 19th. We confirmed that the project site had been restored to basically the conditions they were in before work was done. The test pits were completed in October 2025. They did note that there are still some test pits that they're conducting in Everett. However, those are both outside of Boston and outside of LSCSF, so not jurisdictional in either capacity for us. Based on that, we would recommend issuing a complete certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance condition number 55.
Okay. Any questions from any commissioners? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-2.
Chair Parker, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I just couldn't get to my
okay.
button there. I think that, Ellen, am I right that the maintenance commission you're proposing is about snow management?
It is, yeah. So I mean, I think that especially for a road, the expectation is that that will be taken care of otherwise. So that's we always base it off of what was included in the order of conditions, but if the commission feels that it's not necessarily necessary in this case, which I would understand considering all the work was done in a right of way and then on sidewalks. I think that that would be fine as well.
I mean, I don't even think they have the right to manage snow there, so I guess I would, it's not their property.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. I didn't understand that. Yeah, I think Eleanor, I think we'd have to forego that one.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that works
Thank
for
you.
us.
Thank you, Commissioner Herbst.
Sure.
Okay, so with that, entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-2014 and Boston file number 2024-034.
So moved.
Do we have thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. And Eleanor, we certainly appreciate your zealousness.
I think this was a great example of a condition that made it into the
Well-
order and was maybe covering too many bases.
I think we'll let the State Highway Department take care of that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I also recall I got particularly crispy about this one, so I think, yeah, maybe you were channeling my energy on it a while. So appreciate it.
There you go.
We're just yeah, we're being very careful.
Okay. I appreciate that. Okay, next item is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1763 and Boston file number 2021-001 from Childs Engineering on behalf of Synergy Services for seawall repairs and foundation rehabilitation at 250 to 253 Summer Street in South Boston. Eleanor, what do we have on this one?
Yes, so we conducted a site visit yesterday, March 24th. And the work appeared to have been conducted in accordance with the order. So we would recommend issuing a complete COC. A few things that came up during the site visit, we clarified that there were no grout bags that were used during the work. So chinking stones were used to fill the voids instead of what they had originally expected to be grout bags. And the anticipated life of these repairs is going to be about 25 to 50 years, depending on frequency and intensity of storm events. But they do inspect the area approximately every 10 years to see if any repairs need to be done. And we have some perpetual maintenance conditions, which I believe are more relevant. So numbers 27, 45, and 46.
Okay, thank you. Just a comment. It seems like, especially in the first few years, you'd want to inspect the seawall, I mean, more frequently than every 10 years, especially in the first few years to see if your repairs took root and they were properly, I don't know. It just
The
seems like a
sense-
long time to inspect.
I agree. The sense that I got from projects, especially along this part of the Harbor Walk, I do think that they're frequent. I mean, they're used enough and sort of the area is frequented enough that I think that there might be a formal inspection every 10 years, but it does feel like, basically as needed repairs come up, they're conducted. So I think that that might be sort of like a formality, but people might be, paying attention to it in a less, I would say, a less formal way. I don't think it's, a question of people only looking at it every 10 years.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1763 and Boston file number 2021-001, retaining maintenance conditions 27, 45, and 46.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1629 from Weston and Sampson on behalf of the Boston Parks and Recreation Department for improvements to Langone and Populo. Langone Park and Populo Playground, located at 471 Commercial Street and 529 and 543 Commercial Street in the North End. Commissioner Linay, I think you have to recuse yourself. So, Eleanor, what do we have on this?
Great, yes. So We conducted a site visit on March 19th. There were a few design changes that were made, mainly related to vegetated areas. Originally, the plans had included a vegetated area in a bit of a strange spot next to the basketball court, and once they started construction, they realized that that probably didn't make very much sense. So they ended up adding more permeable areas where you see the trees and some of the grass. So everything balanced out to be the same, if not more permeable than what was originally permitted, but that was a minor change that they flagged. They did also note, and if folks have been out there, you may have noticed this, but because of the design of the harbor walk, there's water, depending on what the tides are doing, going both under the harbor walk and over the harbor walk at times, and that is leading to some warping of the wood that is used on the harbor walk there, but nothing severe enough for them to have to do any replacements at this point. But it is a good thing to keep in mind for future harbor walk projects that we might be permitting.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Any questions from any commissioners? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061629.
Oh, and apologies, we did have perpetual maintenance conditions.
Oh, what are they?
27, 48, and 56.
So it's sort of interesting here. I'm reading this, and there's only a DEP file number, and there is local ordinance jurisdiction over land subject to coastal storm flowage. So why is it only a state number? It didn't predate the ordinance, did it?
There is, so I believe that it did.
Oh, okay.
I want to confirm. Yeah, so this would have been February 8th, 2019 was when it was
Wow.
issued.
The Wayback Machine. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'll redo that motion. Entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061629, retaining perpetual maintenance conditions 27, 48, and 56.
So moved.
We have a second.
Or a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson.
Sorry.
Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 4-0. Okay, Elena, Boston scores is off, right?
It is, yeah. So
Okay.
we are still waiting on some other items, so we would recommend that the commission hold off on voting on that.
Okay, now we're up to administrative updates. What do you have for us?
Yes, so the first update is a request to ratify an enforcement order, which is in the drive folder for the commission's review. So for context, this enforcement order would apply to the parcel right next to the area where a lot of trees were cleared, and we have been working with the folks at Chestnut Hill Realty to resolve that. On a site visit that we conducted in relation to that enforcement issue, we had noticed some Arov poles which were in the wetland on the adjacent property. There's been a bit of a delay in taking next steps for this because the other challenge here is that it is not DC, or it's not owned by Chestnut Hill Realty, it is DCR property. So basically in our conversations, we have learned that Chestnut Hill Realty initially moved these posts. They did discuss this with the director of the Greater Boston Arov Corporation. They maintain the Arov that goes around the Greater Boston area. And so they had asked them if it would be okay for them to move the posts. They said that that would be fine. They did not know about the issues related to wetlands or property ownership. DCR, to our knowledge, was not aware of this move either. And those were moved to create that path that is the basically the crux of the other enforcement issue. So we have been in ongoing discussions with Chestnut Hill Realty about this. We have now heard back from DCR about what they would prefer to happen, and their preference is for the Arov posts to be moved back onto Chestnut Hill Realty property. So we have now drafted this enforcement order. We figured it made sense to have a separate enforcement order since it is a separate parcel, and despite the fact that it was part of the same work, has its own sort of parcel and ownership questions. And we are asking for the posts to be moved back onto Chestnut Hill Realty property for the wetland to be restored. We believe there may have been some vegetation cutting in that process as well. So we'll be working with the Chestnut Hill Realty group to determine what an appropriate restoration plan looks like for that. And that will probably be coming to the commission in the next few months. And DCR also noted that there is a construction access permit that's required to enter and do work on DCR property. So we will be requesting that Chestnut Hill Realty obtain that DCR access permit for the work.
Okay. Well, let's say disappointing, but Commissioner Herbst, this is like an annuity for you. You have a lot more to review here. So, Elena, why did they dump these on DCR property? Who gave them a permission again? Was there a third party, I think you mentioned?
So my understanding is that they wanted to move them so that they could create the snow storage area, which is also why the trees were cleared. They had reached out to the Greater Boston Air Corporation because the Greater Boston Air Corporation has people who go out to ensure that both the poles and the Arab itself, the cord, that nothing has happened, that they haven't been broken. And so they do that on a weekly basis. And they are familiar, they've had to go through permitting for their pole locations before. So they clarified that they understand how conservation commissions work, but they did not know that this was not permitted, that this hadn't been run by DCR. And they basically thought, okay, well, it seems like they just want to move them about 20 feet over, so that seems fine. And so they had agreed to it, but DCR did not know that this was happening, and the Greater Boston Air Corporation did not know that there were, permitting or that there was property ownership issues. They assumed that it was all part of the same parcel.
Okay.
So can I ask, so they moved it,
please.
They moved them off their property and into the wetlands? Is that? And for a snow management area that we've told them they can't have?
Yes.
They're just really.
To clarify, I think that they did this at the same time that they cleared the trees. I don't think that this was done. Or I should say, this was not done after we had started the enforcement process. It seems like it was all done around the same time. But yeah, we have noticed some vegetation disturbance in that area, and I also think that at least one of the poles seems to be in sort of a concrete footing of some sort in the wetland.
They're really something. Okay.
Wow. This is when you really want to have the ability to fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Any other commissioners with questions? Okay. Thank you, Elena. So with that, I would entertain a motion to ratify the enforcement order issued to Chestnut Hill Realty Trust.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Commissioner Linay.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, Elena, anything else?
Yes, just another, one more update. We are monitoring snow farms where snow is being stored around the city. We don't have any formal updates on that, but just it is on our radars and we are keeping an eye on them.
Okay. So just as a note, NPS over where I live had a large pile of snow in their parking lot near the USS Constitution, and it finally melted. And as it got down to the base, and I walk by there every night, and I probably shouldn't disclose that because I don't know, maybe someone's stalking me. I have no idea, but too much information. But I do walk by it every night. And what I noticed when we get down to the base, one, it was filthy, right? A lot of debris, but I also smelled PAHs. I could smell petroleum products in the pile as it got to the bottom. They did go over, and again, this is federal land, so there's nothing we can do about it. But I'm wondering if that happens at all the snow farms. And I was actually very surprised to smell the PAHs. And so I'm wondering, do you know anything about that? Is that common, or is this just maybe their handling of the snow pile?
No, I didn't know about that in particular. I think that we're sort of generally aware of just how much debris can start to
Yeah.
accumulate in these snow piles. And I guess in that sense, when they're collecting the snow from areas that from roads and from other areas that might have petroleum products leaking
Yeah.
onto them,
Was
it's
a lot of broken asphalt bits, cold, pothole patching that might have gotten scooped up because I could see that.
yeah.
Yeah, great point. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of debris like that.
That
I thought it
that
was
makes
stone,
sense.
but it must have been patching.
So we're hoping to have, I think that this winter was a good reminder. I think that, nobody who is on our commission staff was here when we had the last sort of big snowy winter. And I think that this has been a really good reminder that we want to have a more collaborative and open conversation about how the snow farms are being managed and where exactly they are being placed and what is happening to all of the debris and anything else that may have been pushed up into that area alongside the snow.
Yeah, it also raises the question in my mind when Coast Guard Station asked, and again, federal property. There's technically don't have jurisdiction, and they're always very cooperative and collaborative. But when they come before you and they say, "Hey, we're dumping clean snow into the harbor," is that reality? Is there anything like clean, quoted unquote, snow?
When I have done those site visits, my understanding is both that they don't salt the area where they know they're like but for example, like in the cases when it happened this winter, they knew based on the forecast that they expected this to be an issue and they expected to have to reach out to us for that permission. So they don't sort of treat that area with anything. And the other thing that the person who I met on site shared with me is that they stop if they see any contamination. So I think my understanding is that to the best of their ability, it really is just like the top layer of snow as it's coming down, and they try to adhere to the only clean snow into the harbor situation. And when I conducted my site visits after the fact, even the snow that was still on Coast Guard property looked pretty clean. It didn't look nearly as bad as some of the other piles we've seen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that because I do know that federal environmental people are, pretty fastidious in their jobs. They're pretty diligent. And so it sounds like the same thing is happening there. And based on the filings that they've put forth before us, that they didn't have to, in the way that they manage the NOI work that they've put in front of us. I was feeling very good about the snow farm and then moving it into the harbor. And then when I saw this pile, I was like, geez, I hope it wasn't like that. So anyways, okay, thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, it does seem to be pretty different, which makes me feel better because the snow piles that I've seen around my neighborhood this winter have been concerning.
Yeah.
Ellen, I'm curious because I hadn't thought about this at all. Are there many, and are there sort of ones you've identified that you're concerned about their how close they are to wetland areas?
We've actually been working with Commissioner Sullivan, not in his capacity as Commissioner Sullivan, but more as in his capacity as at Boston Water and Sewer to locate these. And I think that most of them are placed in areas where there seems to be good drainage. They're placed in areas that are, already paved and have stormwater management. And I think the sort of concerns that we have are not as relevant as what Boston Water and Sewer has, and as far as like just making sure that they know where they need to be like clearing things out and where to be expecting like a larger influx of melting snow. There is one in West Roxbury that we're specifically keeping an eye on. And then separately, we had this is not an actual city snow farm, but we did have a call from somebody at DCR and another person who works near a CVS in East Boston, where the CVS had moved a lot of snow, had pushed up all of the snow from their parking lot up against the fence, and the fence abuts Belle Isle Marsh. And so we worked with them to get that moved, and thankfully that was done before it started to melt, and everybody responded pretty quickly to that. So it's been kind of a, yeah, it's been like one of those gopher games, you know, where you're just trying to sort of see them as they're coming up.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Eleanor? Okay, Eleanor, anything else?
Nothing else. That was it.
Okay,
For admin updates.
thank you for staying on top of all this. Okay, next agenda are meeting minutes. I looked through them. They look good. Unless there are any other comments from commissioners, I would entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 25th, 2026 and March 11th, 2026.
So moved.
You have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay. We can all go watch the Thunder Celtics now. Motion to adjourn by acclamation. Any objections? Okay. Thank
No
you to
snow.
staff. I'm sorry.
There's no snow in that picture.
It's over.
Almost sunny.
I know, making us laugh. We're happy. Okay, thank you, everyone. See you in a few weeks.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.